Sydney and London-listed Aura Energy has uranium projects in Mauritania and Sweden. It's just received its environmental and social impact assessment approval for the low-capital Tiris asset in Mauritania. Peter Reeve is Executive Chairman, CEO, joins us now with some more analysis. Peter, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome back again, because get a chance to have a further update. Now you've got this news of the ESIA coming through.
Yes.
How pleased are you with that? Because I know when we last spoke, you were very pleased with the document that you submitted.
Yes, yeah. Like the document was a 1,000-page assessment of that whole northwest corner of Mauritania. We think it's the first time that sort of work had been done. I think it pleased the government that they could see that work had been done, and I believe that a permit for the environmental approval of the uranium project is probably the highest level approval you get. It's the most important element. It's the one with the greatest level of interest and risk around how uranium projects run. So I'm very, very pleased. You know, we got it done in the time frame that we said, and it really opens the door to a lot of other aspects of project financing and all sorts of things going forward. So very, very pleased.
What other news headlines you got for us in terms of the asset itself?
The major item, probably in the last quarter or since we spoke last, was the cash costs. We did a lot of work on how much of the leaching agent was getting recycled back into the process and how much we could essentially reuse again. And that had a significant impact in the cash costs, taking it down from $30 a pound to $19.40. 35% drop puts it down below the spot price. Not that we would ever sell our uranium at the spot price, but it does make it viable even at today's prices. When we see the rebound in prices, you know, we will be in a situation of being a very, very strong cash flow, again, for this small capital number we talk of 45 million US.
You're talking there about uranium, but I know you've got other assets that are bearing through, aren't they?
Yeah.
Other metals, I should say.
Yeah, we're doing a lot of work. I mean, there's no doubt about it. The uranium price is not playing ball the way everybody in the uranium market would like it to play ball. We all want it to be a lot higher, quicker, and now it's not happening. I think you've got to play it as you see it as a company, strategically. So we're now looking at some very, very good gold tenements and base metal tenements in Mauritania. The tazziest gold mine owned by Kinross is just north of the tenements we have. It's a 21 million ounce deposit. We've got 60 or 70 kilometres of strike length of greenstone belt. We're very excited about that, and we plan to start exploration there reasonably soon. So that's a nice blend-in strategy, if you like, in Mauritania.
Why is the uranium price not doing what people think it should be? I mean, 6 years ago, of course, it had fallen out of bed because of the Fukushima disaster and so forth. But why has it not recovered the way that those in the industry think it should have at this point?
Look, it's a good question, and it's an opaque market, and I'm not going to say that I've got all the answers about it. Clearly, the inventory that was left over post-Fukushima has to have some play. Clearly, the slowness of the utilities to come back into the term contract market is having an impact. We just think the slowness of them coming back into the term contract market means the elastic band is getting tighter and tighter and tighter as every 3-month period goes by. You know, that's all I can put it down to. People are relying on spot. They're relying on other mechanisms within the uranium market to get their supply, and they are not feeling the need to go into the market yet. You know, when the Kazakhs cut production back recently by 10%, our share price went to 5 cents, uranium price went up. You know, it takes a very, very small inflection in the production market to make a big impact in both uranium price and equities. And I think going forward, you will see, as these contracts from miners to utilities roll off, and a lot are rolling off now, you'll see if the miner has to sell his uranium anywhere near the spot price, he'll say, no, I'll cut down production. If he cuts down production, uranium price goes up. I think I think there's a lot of aspects that will occur which will drive the uranium price in the next, you know, I'm still saying, I'm not going to pick the date, but I'm saying 18 months to 2 years. I think we're on something that is quite special. Yeah.
You've got your DFS still in the pipe, haven't
Underway,
you?
Yes.
You did say actually last time you felt that there was a drifting in some aspects of various things that are going on. I know the DFS has now been pushed out, is that right?
Yeah, so we'd started to say over the last 6 months, we expected it probably in the early part of 2018. We've got some additional metallurgical test work we want to do. We're still working on the resource side of it. I've got an in-house engineer now who's excellent and doing some fantastic work. And we're now saying mid-2018 for that.
Yeah. Okay, so mining application, that's in the process as well. So you've got a number of things going on here.
Yes.
What can you tell us about some of the longer term dates now for Tiris?
Tiris would still be in a situation where if we get the feasibility study completed in mid-2018, production in 2019 is very plausible. Obviously dependent on things like offtake and funding and what have you, but I think that's a realistic expectation. And again, if the uranium price recovers essentially around the timeframes we're talking about, then we could be one of the only projects in the world being turned on as the uranium price recovers. That's why I make this promotional statement in my releases. I say I think Tiris is one of the most compelling uranium developments in the world at the moment, and I think because of its low capital and that coming back on as uranium price recovers, that's why I do make that statement. I think it's true.
Yeah, got to talk about Sweden as well, because exciting developments there. I'm talking to a lot of people these days about electric cars and storage and so forth, power storage, and of course for that you've got to have good battery. And I know that you're going into this area quite seriously through your Swedish project, aren't you?
Yes. The Hagen project is a project with a lot of uranium, but it's also got a lot of other metals. If you look at some of the releases we put out lately, we talk about the fact that 3/4 of the metal value in Hagen at current metal prices is not uranium. There's a hell of a lot of vanadium in it. Vanadium obviously has been used in the whole renewable energy sector, the battery sector. There's a metal called neodymium for magnets and what have you. There's cobalt, there's nickel, there's zinc, there's molybdenum. There's a lot of metals in there, and when we acid leach that prospect, everything goes into solution, so it's selectively how we take it out. So we think there's a big future. So we are talking about Hagen as a polymetallic. We do think that it's got a big future as part of the battery metal sector. When people talk about base metals these days, they say, well, what are the battery metals doing? So that seems to be a new sector people are talking about, and I think with Hagen we can be a big part of it.
Yeah, of course, you say it's got a big uranium business as well. You mentioned uranium in the context of your share price. I think we'll go back to the share price on the basis you said that when the uranium price went up, your share price is up at 5 cents. This is the Australian listed share. That peak was back in February this year. Since then, it's been a little bit of consolidation. But I think where we are at the moment, 2.5 cents, you can see that we're not too far away from the mid price we've seen over the last couple of years or so. What do you say to investors about those that have got in at a far higher share price? And you've had all these positive developments. You know more about where you're going. You've got better cash costs. You've got all these positives coming out, but the share price doesn't seem to get much traction apart from the fact that whenever uranium goes up. Yeah, I
suppose the best way I look at that is I compare, and as a CEO you do this, I compare myself to my peers as well. When I compare our share price to a lot of our peers, we've outperformed them on a 12-month basis. I try not to fiddle with the numbers, but if I just go from here back 12 months in general, the other ones who are in our sort of sector, we've outperformed very strongly. And we haven't gone down much. We're holding that 2.5 cent very well. All the financings we did in London last year were a lot lower than that price. And so I think people have made money out of us. We haven't raced away to be a 3-bagger, 5-bagger, 10-bagger. That'll happen one day. But at least we are holding, and we are getting activity, and we are getting developments. I've still got a lot of good supportive shareholders, and people believe in the story. So we're not seeing the runaway gains at the moment, but I think that's why I'm very quietly confident about these gold prospects in Mauritania. I think the previous company who had these tenements spent $3 million on those prospects. We bought them for $100,000. We've got some test holes that will go under the old holes, and I think it'll be really interesting. So hopefully that will spark the share price and help us do a lot of other things with the projects.
Yeah, okay, next time we meet, what will we be talking about? What do you think will be under the bridge by then?
I'm hoping we will be talking about the fact that we have a mining lease granted for Tiris, that we've progressed satisfactorily through another couple of phases on the Tiris DFS, and that we've just hit 120 metres of 2.3 grams gold.
Okay, well, we'll see what happens. Okay, Peter, in the meantime, thanks indeed for joining us. Peter Reeve is the man in charge at Aura Energy as the company motoring towards a number of different new areas within the mining business.